This is what I call a wheel, and it's attached to a giant Mercedes G-Class that's known as the Mondo G. We first saw it during London Fashion Week last year, and now this thing has got a little brother. And this is it, Project Past to Future, a Mercedes G-Wagon done in collaboration with Mercedes, obviously, with Moncler, and with Japanese streetwear legend Nigo. But why do these things exist? Well, car makers long ago ceased being merely car makers. Some of them are technology companies that specialize in mobility solutions, or perhaps you're a mover and shaker in the luxury goods sphere, and you just happen to make cars. Either way, brand is king.
Mercedes-Benz has lately been thinking a lot about how to use its history as a lever for the future, as well as celebrating the past. These guys invented the car, after all, back in 1886 and have covered all the bases since. One example, the 300 SLR that won the Mille Miglia in 1955 in the hands of Sir Stirling Moss. Well, it's the world's most valuable car, worth a rumoured £250 million. But that's for beardy racing nerds. How do you keep the brand relevant for the kids? Mercedes did a wild Maybach electric one-off coupe with the late Virgil Abloh, not to mention a G-Class that was designed to disrupt future perceptions of luxury, whatever that means, and a limited edition saloon.
Now they've teamed up with another legend, in this case outerwear superstars Moncler. Well, everyone wants one of their puffer jackets, don't they? So the Mondo G combines elements of the OG Mercedes G-Wagon and one of fashion's top staples. I mean, look at the wheels, look at the rear compartment, there's even a zipper on here. So this is a car that's been reworked to resemble a Moncler jacket.
Brief bit of history. Moncler was formed in 1952 and provided the clothing for the Italian expedition to K2 in 54. It has supplied the French national downhill skiing team. It was close to bankruptcy though, when Italian entrepreneur Remo Ruffini bought it back in 2003. Nowhere near bankruptcy now. Its revenues in 2023 were close to €3 billion. And according to the FT, collaborations are at the heart of Moncler's credibility. Rather than a seasonal fashion collection, Moncler embarked on a monthly collaborative drop called Genius. You cannot talk to your customer every 6 months, you need to talk every day, Ruffini noted. Sorry about the Italian accent there.
They've worked with Spike Lee, Leica, Freeze, Jay-Z, Palm Angels, and many, many more, but there's never been anything quite like this. In fact, the Mondo G might be the most extreme example of a brand tie-in there's ever been. Of course, the G-Wagon, you'll know, has its roots in a commission for the German military back in the 1970s. That's about as far away from a fashionable object as you could possibly imagine. And yet, the G-Wagon has become very fashionable indeed.
Which makes a collaboration like this tricky. Says Mercedes Vice President for Design, Gordon Wagner, I asked myself what Moncler was about, and for me it's the classic puffered down jacket. I love full rich surfaces, and these jackets absolutely embody this. It was known as Project Gravity internally, partly for G-Wagon, but also because it was influenced by the Apollo moon missions. Mercedes' design team have even worked up visuals of the car, reframing it as the command module drifting down on parachutes, and they even created an animated film that put the car on the moon.
It's not a real G-Wagon at all, of course. If you look closely at it, in fact you don't even have to look that closely, you'll see that it's a bit of a Frankenstein's monster of a thing. The body is actually a version of the car that never existed, a kind of mixture between the short and long wheelbase kind of pickup one. Anyway, it's made of a moulding foam that's called Uriol, so it's kind of solid but odd. And it has a patina that's based on the finish that you might find on a really well-used Leica camera. And this silver here in the quilting on the wheels, if you can call it quilting, well, that references the material that they use to insulate satellites in orbit, or the stuff that they wrap people in during mountain rescue efforts. It's a weird mix of influence that somehow really works. Oh, and the artist Jeff Koons, who does all those famous balloon animals and inflatables, he's in there as well. I don't know what Bunsen burner is in German, but apparently they did apply a Bunsen burner to this area. See this little patch here? Yes, they create a piece of art, a one-off Mercedes sculpture, and then go, I know, let's get a naked flame on this thing. Let's see what happens. It's all about adding, again, patina. Oh yeah, and they got a hammer to it as well. So they create a piece of art and then go, I know, we need to get a naked flame on it. And also, where's the hammer? Let's start beating the watsits out of it. Love it. These wheels clearly modelled on a Moncler puffer jacket, and they look like they should have like softness and a squidge to them. Nope, it's made of a laminate, and they're solid. They also deform a little bit where the car sits on the wheel. Car, is it a car? I don't know what it is, piece of art. That was deliberate, and it's meant to kind of look a bit like what happens on an elephant's foot when it's standing, kind of does that, whatever the technical word for that is. These are unusual reference points.
Which suggests that Gordon Wagner actually has a sense of humour, as well as a keen design and marketing eye. Mercedes has dabbled in art projects under his watch before. The G-Wagon, he says, is an icon, probably our strongest icon, and icons are very important because they create a sense of luxury, and they haven't stopped there.
Which is where the G-Wagon collaboration with Nigo comes in. Now, if you know anything about fashion, you'll recognise the name. Nigo was the founder of streetwear label A Bathing Ape. He co-founded Billionaire Boys Club and Ice Cream with some guy called Pharrell Williams. He's a DJ, a musician, currently artistic director of the fashion label Kenzo. He is the original hype beast, but he also loves Mercedes G-Wagons. In fact, he's had more than 30 of them over the years. And now he's created this one.
Past to future, they call it. Interesting wordplay. Anyone who likes or knows late 80s, early 90s hip hop, well, they'll like this one. It's the real deal. An 80s short wheelbase car given a complete nut and bolt restoration. It gets a khaki green and grey paint job, gold roll bar at the rear, and a padded roof echoing the Moncler Mondo G.
Unlike on the Mondo G, this really is like a puffer jacket, and you can remove it. To reveal this room for you and all your very fashionable friends. Actually, it's fantastically Spartan and basic, and that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people, including Nigo, like the G-Wagon. This trim, which is lovely, a bit like some of the materials he's been using in Kenzo recently. I wonder if they'd agree with that or not. This is actually the trim from the original car. There's also a cassette deck up front. Love that. I still have all of my cassettes from like 35, 40 years ago. I'm never going to throw those away. And I'll tell you what, they are going to be given the mother of all workouts, because check these bad boys out. These speakers are by a guy called Devin Turnbull, who's become famous for his company OJAS. He's an audio specialist. These are pretty much the coolest speakers you can buy, and this thing will absolutely rock.
The Nigo car, says Mercedes, is an art piece, a one-off.
But there will be a very limited run of G-classes given the Nigo makeover, just 20 in all, in the same two-Pantone grey and sort of khaki green colour. It's a lovely paint job. And with this black band that runs all the way around it with a nice inspirational message. In German they call this the Rahmenschutzleiste. Been working on the pronunciation of that all day. So there'll also be the inevitable capsule collection for spring and summer 2025. Includes shirts, apparel, jackets, all the usual stuff. A couple of examples here. Ah, look at this one. Matches the interior trim of the car. And this has, look at that. That is a copy of an original print advert for the G-Wagon, probably from the early 80s. Fashion, eh? It's a mysterious place. Only I could afford any of this stuff.